Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It is 5:37. It's the 29th of January, and I'm Siobhan Campbell, and welcome to the cover story.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, and today we're turning our attention to what's happening in the United States, where attorney at law and former member of the Diaspora Advisory Board, Wayne Goldin, says over 5,000 undocumented Jamaicans who are not in detention have been issued with final orders for removal from the United States. The figure is contained in a list bearing the header U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the Department of Homeland Security logo. It has been circulating on social media since Tuesday. Dana Davey has more in this report.
The list has emerged as the crackdown on illegal immigration under President Donald Trump intensifies. Titled ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations, the list was last updated in November last year. It says as of November 24, 2024, there are over 1.4 million non-citizens on the Federal Law Enforcement Agency's non-detained docket with final orders of removal. The document presents a breakdown of countries and how many people from each country have been served with final orders for removal. The figure for Jamaica is 5,120. Several other Caribbean countries are listed. Cuba has the highest number in the region at just over 42,000. Haiti follows with more than 32,000. There are over 22,000 Venezuelans and over 12,000 from the Dominican Republic who have received final orders for removal. For Guyana, ICE says the figure stands at 1,200. Trinidad and Tobago has more than 1,100. The Bahamas totals 426. St. Lucia has 202, Barbados records 151, St. Vincent and the Grenadines accounts for 127, Antigua and Barbuda totals 110, and Dominica has 104. The lowest regional figures were for St. Kitts and Nevis with 68, Turks and Caicos Islands 25, Bermuda 10, and Montserrat 8. The document also lists Jamaica as one of 11 countries at risk of non-compliance. In the meantime, undocumented Jamaicans living in the U.S. for fewer than 2 years are being urged to exercise caution as President Trump makes good on his promise to carry out the most massive deportation in the country's history. Speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Wednesday, U.S. Immigration Attorney Opal Lee says the matter has elevated to a level where teachers are now being asked to report their undocumented students to ICE. Dana Davey for Nationwide at 5.
Thank you, Dana. And to discuss further, we're being joined by Immigration and Social Security Attorney in Connecticut, Maurice Maitland, and a diaspora activist and Global Jamaica Diaspora Council member, Blaine Studdart. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you both. Let's start with you, Maurice Maitland. Based on the instructions that have now been handed down, and we understand 5,000 Jamaicans have been given marching orders essentially to leave the country, what are the next steps for any Jamaican who is currently in the United States who feels their immigration status is aggrieved? If they feel that this order to essentially be ejected from the country is not in order, what are their options at this point?
Well, I believe that at this point, Jamaica is very, I would say, fortunate. The diplomatic relationship with Kingston and Washington, I think, is very great. Mars, the ambassador, was at inauguration recently, and based on the fact that immigration deportation is executive. It has to do with the government to government make a decision, and the government share the list with each other government. And I believe these people, they would deserve some kind of due process so that they can go to the immigration court and have their case be heard. Because that is common in the Anglo-American legal system, especially in a case like this where these were not prior reported until now. We cannot just look at it that way. And I think it's really up to the political directs in Kingston and Washington to work out something for these 5,000 people. And I believe they have the ability to do so.
We're not hearing you, Sanjay.
Because,
Help us to understand,
because
Maurice. I'm
I
sorry.
was
I'm
reading
sorry,
something. Yes,
Right.
I was
I just
reading
wanted to
something.
find out, Maurice, before you continue the point. When it says final order for removal, help our listeners to understand what does that mean, and also what legal options, if any, are available to those affected.
Okay, final list is basically the immigration judge, IJ, makes a decision for final order. So of the 5,000, those cases will have to be examined carefully to make sure there's a final order. And if there's no final order, legally speaking, I don't think the government has a right to do so. Because in the United States, whenever there's no final order, it cannot happen because immigration law is also administrative law. And administrative law requires a finality of the decision, hence the final order of the immigration judge for deportation. But if there's no final order, the case was before the court, then those people could work out with the government for a decision. Personally, I represented a Jamaican many years ago, and there was no final order. And I wrote to the embassy and the deputy consul, and I was able to have them delay the process until the adjudication process takes place in America. And that young lady is here today. She was suffering from mental and other psychological issues. And going back to Jamaica would not be good for her. So some of these cases should be examined before an order, executive order, which is not judicial, should be done.
Right. And Blaine, what immediate steps should undocumented Jamaicans take to prepare for possible deportation or legal defense?
Well,
Again, this is Blaine Stoddard from Philadelphia. Again, can you hear me okay?
Go ahead.
Yes, hearing you. Go ahead.
Yes. Again, if a Jamaican is given a final order of deportation, they must contact the Jamaican embassy and also contact a lawyer because this is a legal process. It would seem right now in America that the legal process is being trampled on. There are three divisions of government. There's the executive branch, there's the judicial branch, which is the court, and there's the legislative branch, which makes the law. We must follow the process. So there has to be a law that has been broken. There has to be a judicial process for appeal, and the executive branch cannot stomp and just trample over the other parts of the tripartite government constitutional agreement that we have in America. And so I am agreeing with my lawyer counterpart saying that there has to be an appeal process or a judicial process for this final order to be executed.
Yeah, but there are a number of questions, Siobhan, that many Jamaicans who are now living in the United States, they have as it relates to this executive order, which was signed by the now U.S. President Donald Trump. And I can understand why so many Jamaicans are on edge.
And I can imagine because when you see the term final order, one automatically, I believe this is what the government is relying on, or at least the regime that is currently in place is relying on, that you will simply view this as, yes, your final order, you make yourselves ready to be removed from the country. And many people, not being fully understanding of the law, will simply march along as being given instructions. But right. I would really love if we can get Mr. Stoddart and Mr. Maitland back to look at how this actually impacts those Jamaicans who are now under the threat of deportation, and what are their options and avenues that they could potentially explore to remain in the country. But it still goes to suggest that any Jamaican who is traveling over to the United States, they should not only educate themselves as to what they are getting themselves into, but also ensure that you're of legal standing. And if you're not of legal standing, make yourself of legal standing so that you don't have to face issues such as this. I understand we have Mr. Maitland back?
Yes.
So I put the question to you, Mr. Maitland. Even though it has the holdings of a final order, meaning this is your final instruction. It seems that this is not the case, that there is still a further ability to appeal or seek further legal redress. Can you explain to us what that process is? Mr. Maitland, are you there? It seems we've lost Mr. Maitland again. Okay.
Well, while we wait to
Honestly, Mr.
reconnect.
Stoddart, are you there?
I am 100% back. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
wonderful.
Good to hear from you. So I put the question to you as I originally put to you. What is the legal process that remains for those who have been issued with this final order, and how do they avail themselves of it?
Again, I am not an attorney. I'm also not a member of the Jamaica Diaspora Council, but I've been an activist in the diaspora to 30 years. And so, again, what options are available? I think the first thing that people have to do if they've been given a final order is to get an attorney. Without an attorney, you have no hope. And if somebody gets deported back to Jamaica, they're going to have to be dependent on family and friends to house and take care of them until they can get back on their feet. And so those are the options that are available. Number one, get an attorney. You will not, I repeat, if somebody's listening to this in the United States and they have an order of deportation, you have no chance or minimal chance of fighting this without a good immigration lawyer.
But in the instant case where there are Jamaicans who are being sent back to Jamaica and they may have spent their entire lives in the United States and reasonably do not have family or loved ones here to take them in, do they not have any recourse in terms of telling that to the United States government that they really have no life in Jamaica to go to?
That is a court hearing process. And so, that will be also taken into consideration by a hearing officer or by a judge. And that's why it's good to get a lawyer, because with a lawyer, you have an opportunity to come up with a case that could stay your deportation.
And I gather Maurice is back?
Yes, I'm back.
Right.
Yes, you are correct, Mr. Sadat. No, he's right with the final order. When a final order is made by an immigration judge, it gives the defendant limited rights. However, I would recommend that we examine the case carefully and make sure there is in fact, because many of the times there's no final order, even though the government may say so. You have to go and look whether or not the case was done in absentia. Sometimes the person was not there. And all those procedural issues. And most of the time, people never show up to court. And it happened with at least two cases I did. One in Jamaica, someone was charged for murder. And there was no final order. And we were able to get the gentleman released from jail.
Right.
So even though the government did a final order, we should actually look at it very carefully. And so I would recommend the Jamaica Consulate works together with the local community and maybe provide some resources to make sure that due process is taking place. And there was, in fact, a final order. And the records for the final order could be many. Some of these people are in their 60s and 70s now, and they have worked in the system for many years, and they contribute to the United States Social Security system, work more than 10 years, and with that, they could get some benefit. So the Jamaica Consulate could work with, the Jamaica government could work with the U.S. government and say, look here, we're going to deport them. We will allow them to get their benefits when they reach home. And work with something like that. And I believe that would be fair and equitable.
I have a question
because
from...
you know what?
Yes, go ahead. Finish the point.
The government is actually targeting illegal aliens, including drug dealers, murderers, and rapists. And so far, I don't believe Jamaica is one of those countries with such crimes. Mm-hmm. So most of the issue, I believe, is mostly administrative administrative deportation, which
Right.
does not require the bad treatment.
So Maurice, for Jamaicans, for example, who would have entered the United States illegally, they're there, let's say, under 2 years. Should they be so concerned that at any moment, because that is the concern, and you speak to many Jamaicans, that at any point in time, ICE will come, scoop them up, send them back to Jamaica. You're saying it's not such an easy process. Maurice?
Oh dear, it looks like we lost Mr. Maitland again. Are, are you there, Mr.
Is
Stoddart?
Blaine still on?
Yes, again, I am not an attorney.
Right.
I am a businessman and a moderate ad. And so, again, the president has issued an executive order that says that ICE can go into any church, any hospital, any school, these were off the table. These were sacred places or places that ICE did not go. That is off the table. So right now, as it stands, ICE can go into any of these places. ICE can come in on your job, at your restaurant, at your car wash, and swoop people up. Now, what the process is, once they arrest you and have you in custody, again, we would need an immigration attorney to discuss what the process is, and the process is the process for you to get a judicial hearing under an ICE arrest. But as of now, ICE can find you anywhere. They can come into your house and get you and arrest you if you are undocumented or in the country illegally.
And let me put it to you, Mr. Stoddard. Considering the situation now, what are the options available to the Jamaican government in terms of not only assisting their citizens, but appealing to potentially the United States government to re-examine many of these cases? Or is it just a simple matter that you are issued a deportation order and you're simply sent back to Jamaica and the Jamaican government comply with the process?
As of now, I mean, again, if there are conversations that could take place between the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the State Department, or between the Prime Minister and the Trump administration, that would be great. President Trump does like when people honor him by kissing up to him because of the immense power that this man has. And he has been known to change his mind. He has been known to change his mind about TikTok. He issued an executive order banning all government grants to millions and millions of schools and nonprofits and libraries and agencies that depend on government funding. He issued this ruling, this executive order, probably 2 or 3 days ago. That executive order, as of today, I hear has been permanently stayed. So the power that the president has can be checked. But the people must rise up both at the ballot box and the legislative branches of government and the judicial branches of government must do their jobs, or else we will have a dictatorship in the making.
And for Jamaicans who are listening, what message would you have or would you like to send to undocumented Jamaicans who may be feeling fearful and also uncertain about their future?
Again, my message is, I'm going to stay on this message. Get an attorney. If you're an undocumented Jamaican, get an attorney. If you're that's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice is stay off the streets. If you don't have to go out, if you don't have to be on social media, I tell people, if you're undocumented, stay off social media. There's no reason for you to be putting your picture up and your whereabouts up if you're an undocumented alien, and so illegal immigrant. And so people just have to be harmless as a dove and wise as a serpent during these tempestuous times in the United States.
And final word to you, Maurice Maitland. Have you heard of any legal stirrings, whether from the legislative branch of government or from just the legal fraternity in the United States to challenge these orders that have been issued by the Trump regarding immigration?
Oh, yes. In fact, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, we're planning to deal with the administration. And that's what we have always been doing. And believe you me, we made great progress in the past, and we will make even greater progress now because I believe the immigration lawyers are united. And I am fortunate to be a part of it for the past 17 years. American Immigration Lawyers Association. We're working very hard to ensure that there's fairness. And also, the Bar Association in various states are working together to see if they can able to provide affordable representation and to persons facing deportation. And lawyers are urged to take at least one or two cases. And I have taken a couple of cases every year, and I believe if every Jamaican lawyers reach out, we can make a big difference in the society to help. I'm in Connecticut here, and I will take at least one and one in New York. And I can tell you that the persons who are likely to be protected, people who are not drug dealers, they're not murderers, and they're not rapists. I think once we have those people, mostly administrative deportation are not criminals, I think the Jamaicans will remain here.
That is Maurice Maitland. He is an immigration and social security attorney in Connecticut. And we also have with us diaspora activist Blaine Stoddard. Thank you both, gentlemen, for your hard work, and thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
And thank
You're
you for
welcome.
having us. Take care.